Jeffcom 911, what's the address of the emergency?
It's high-tech, heavily staffed with top professionals, and so far, highly successful, eventually handling an estimated 800,000 calls a year from people who need help of every description.
And units, if you can respond.
This is Jeffcom 911, the latest innovation of 911 call centers serving one of the metro area's fastest-growing populations. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our program. Today, we will look at one of the newest and most sophisticated 911 call centers in the country, saving lives and handling emergencies for the 600,000-some residents in Jefferson County, virtually the entire west side of the metro area. Our guest, our Executive Director, Jeff Streeter, a former Lakewood police officer who served that department for 25 years, then taking the job as Lone Tree's Chief of Police and retiring from that position to take this one. He is Operations Manager is here today, Vicki Pickett, and Systems Administrator Kevin Biegert. Welcome to all of you, by the way. Thanks for your time today. And now let's take a look at Jeffcom 911.
Jeffcom 911, what is the address of your emergency?
It is a massive operation.
Subject does have a knife in his hand.
Answering emergency and non-emergency calls for 23 police and fire agencies on virtually the entire west side of the metro area, both urban and mountain communities.
Are you with that patient now?
This room was mostly an empty shell just a year ago, now transformed into a 911 response center that is the envy of many a municipality.
Okay, tell me exactly what happened.
It goes around the clock, 24/7.
Okay, what kind of vehicle?
Every day of the year.
And they went off the road?
Some 30 highly specialized emergency communication specialists answering calls for medical emergencies, fire emergencies, and police matters of every description.
All units en route, be advised, subject is exiting the building.
Jeffcom never sleeps so that all of us can sleep soundly. It features an incredible streamlining of efficiencies. Much of the operational efficiencies a credit to Jeff Streeter, a former Lakewood cop, not long ago the Chief of Police in Lone Tree. He'll tell you this used to be a much slower process, with callers sometimes on hold as they were passed from agency to agency.
So it built in a level of delay. Now those delays have gone. We can take a call from one location, push simultaneously to law, fire, EMS, and they're sending the call virtually at the same time.
Possibly silver Lexus went off the road.
Great technology is one reason for the speed. The other is that all of the agencies now sit in the same room, watching the same developing information. And not only does everyone hear the emergency call,
All units stand by for a tone.
they can also see the area the call is coming from. They can look at rooftops for firefighters working a structure fire or provide aerials for police officers involved in a foot chase. All the while pushing that same information to fire trucks and other first responders in the field. It's as fast as it gets. Jeffcom among the first to ride a technology wave sweeping emergency response agencies across the country.
Texas, the East Coast, the Northwest, these regional centers are starting to stand up for those levels of efficiencies.
And the financial efficiencies are also significant, resulting from the combination of space, manpower, and expertise. It's better, faster, cheaper.
Definitely better, faster on the forefront, cheaper as we progress.
For all the big technology, supervisors follow the workflow with a simple glance at a coded light system. Red light means an operator is on a call. Yellow light means the operator is working a radio transmission to a responding unit. And a green light means the technician is working information on the phone. April 4th was the first day of operation. The center handled 60,000 calls in April alone, 17,000 of which were 911 calls, all flowing seamlessly from operator to agency, saving time, saving money, saving lives.
Okay, please stay on the phone. I am getting an ambulance headed your way.
Just a remarkable place. So now you've seen it and you know how it works. Let's dissect a little bit. Jeff, if I could ask you first. So originally there were 8, do I call them primary partners or originating partners, or 8 municipalities that came together to get this done?
Yes, mostly municipalities and fire districts came together. They were referred to as our member agencies.
Kind of came up with the concept and the idea a number of years ago to look at this regionalization concept.
And in fact, 8 is shorting the list because by proxy you now have 23 agencies.
We provide emergency dispatch services for 23 entities throughout Jefferson County,
Wow.
police and fire.
And it is virtually the entire west side of the metro area. There's
Yes.
no one left untouched there.
That's correct.
And you work very closely with other agencies, City of Denver,
Yeah, absolutely.
other large 911 call centers you can hand off, and you have interconnected relationships with them.
Yes, 100%. We work very closely with all of our partners throughout all the metro area. We have ability to transfer calls, receive calls from them, stay on the call together should we need to. In critical events, we have immediacy. We can respond together to major crisis events. So our interoperability has grown exponentially.
I couldn't believe it when I was in there, particularly given some of the calls that came in, Vicki. I was so struck by it. I mean, you guys hear everything. I know that 911 call centers sometimes get what they call nuisance calls. I've even heard the one about the lady who left McDonald's and called 911 because there were no fries in her takeout order. And
Sure.
911 call operators hear it all. But even while I was visiting the morning that I was in there to tape, I was struck by the level of anxiety in some of the calls. Yet, you guys all remain so calm. I don't know how you do it. I would have run screaming from the room at some point, but I know that's a purposeful thing and that you train for it, and
Sure.
you are all very accomplished at it, but I can't imagine it's an easy thing.
Definitely. You know, our folks have a lot of training, so they're very good at compartmentalizing. It doesn't mean that they don't have empathy for these callers, but they certainly have a job that they need to do and get the people the help that they need. So that's basically how they've learned to cope with those
It's
kinds
incredible.
of situations.
And the handoffs are very quick. And I think one thing very important for everyone to realize about this is that everyone is in the room. Whoever you need is virtually right behind you or to the side. If you need police or you need fire or you need rescue.
Correct.
So the handoffs are very quick.
Correct.
Yeah. And also, I was struck that, there's a tremendous level of professionalism, but there's also the ability to just yell across the room at somebody to have a face-to-face conversation with them about more of the particulars that you might have gleaned as the operator.
Correct.
Yeah, it's really.
Sometimes we get questions from the responders that maybe we haven't accounted for when we're talking to the caller, so we have the ability to message each other and get that information across pretty quickly.
So you can talk to them electronically, but you can also, which beforehand was not the case, you could say, hey.
Yes,
So
correct.
it's really has upped response times.
Definitely.
And Kevin, I also was struck that in large, very critical situations where there are officers responding and there are suspects on the move, you can watch them. I couldn't believe this. On your technology, you can pull them up and you can watch all that happen real time.
Right. Each vehicle has what we call mobile data terminal, which is sending us real-time location data. So we use that to be able to recommend the fastest response, to see where they are, to update the caller while we're on the phone with them and let them know help's on the way. It's going to be there very soon.
I think people would just be completely taken by the technology. And you say that this is an ongoing thing, that you have great technology today, but you're always looking at what's next or working on something better.
Absolutely. Right now we're looking at NG911 technologies, what we can put in place that's going to even provide better data on the caller, their location.
Really? Oh, finding people, in
Right.
other words. Right. And in fact, I ran across a note about something that I didn't understand about the call centers, and it was other kinds of technologies like cell phone location and smartphone location, and those are all technologies that you're incorporating into this as well.
We're working on it right now. So right now when you dial 911, the best that we can get is a triangulation of the cell phone's location based off of the cell towers. So we're looking at putting technologies in or leveraging what some of these third-party companies and even companies as large as Apple have started to provide us GPS-based data satellite location.
Amazing thing, amazing room, even larger than our studio here. It takes up so much space, but still there's a lot of simple technologies incorporated. There were the blinking lights so that you can look across the room and know what level of call everybody, or what stage of a call everybody was in. I thought that was remarkable. And in fact, Jeff, this center is part of a technological wave that is sweeping the country. You say we're on the front end of this wave. You're all cutting edge, brand new technology. But there are other cities, other communities, large municipalities doing the same thing that you are.
Absolutely. It's really gone on around the country for many years. Certainly by no means Jeffcom's the first. You have some very large combined regional centers in Texas and even the East Coast. If we look out in North Carolina, they're really throughout the country. This is just an opportunity right now for Colorado. This is the first one in Colorado of this magnitude that I'm aware of that doesn't undermine what Denver and Arapahoe County and some of the other counties have done. Quite frankly, ADCOM, Adams County, has been a regional center for years. Weld County, a regional center for years. We just have many more municipalities and authority districts involved, and some different complexities potentially.
And a lot of the people from the member municipalities, if you will, since you experienced people, a lot of your staff are people who have done this for a long time.
Absolutely, yes. Everybody that existed in the previous centers of the 8 member agencies, they were really the only ones that had dispatch locations. We accepted all of their employees, those that wished to come over. They were already trained, had experience. We had to train them on new technology, certainly. But yes, we come in with a very qualified staff, and we continue to grow as well.
Yeah, they're remarkable. Vicki, I want to read this to you. So, I mean, people have no idea how fast this was. I was so taken by it because as a reporter, I've followed a lot of 911 calls as they're handed off and handed off and handed off. So previously, if a Jefferson County resident dialed 911 to report a medical emergency, for example, they were connected to their city's police department, which took down pertinent information and then transferred the call to the appropriate fire station for dispatch of emergency responders. This is where a lot of people say, I called 911 and I got put on hold. And it happened because if the fire station or the police station was busy handling critical calls, they had, that people started to get stacked up. The call taker at the fire station also asked a series of questions then about sending help. So an ambulance was typically on its way within minutes, but in many cases, valuable time was spent transferring calls. That's the best, I have to tell you, from a consumer standpoint, from someone who lives in a 911 call area also, I had to say, the speed that you guys sort things out was remarkable. Things happened in an instant.
Correct.
I know that's probably the goal. Do you train for that? I mean, are there training sessions in the room, or are you all just so practiced that now it's rote, you just do it, it just happens?
So there was quite a bit, as Jeff mentioned, there was quite a bit of training that we had to provide to the people that came from these different agencies, because some of them had the experience on the law enforcement side and some had experience on the fire EMS side. And so when we came to this center, we're combined, we do everything, correct? So, but it actually provides quite a bit of streamlining. As you mentioned, there was a lot of redundancy with the old way of doing things. And so we did have to train quite a bit just to make sure that they were familiar with the other side of it, as well as the technology involved. Yeah.
I saw an operator get a call and pass a call, and they dispatched, I think it was a fire truck, or maybe it was an ambulance, but it all happened within 20 seconds. I had it on a watch, and that's not uncommon.
No.
That's amazingly fast. I think people would be most impressed with the speed. A lot of unique technology, Kevin, is the way it's being described. Jeffcom has a total of 136 call takers, and Jeff, this may be dated information, 136 call takers representing the 8 member agencies, and now 23 by proxy. At any given time, at any moment, I think when I was there, I think there were 18 to 20 call takers actively engaged on the floor. Tell me how the room's laid out. You have fire and emergency people here and cops here. I mean, how does it lay? How do you figure that out?
Primarily the layout's based off of the radio technologies. So we have one dedicated section for fire dispatch. The middle of the room is all the call takers that you're referring to, with the theory being if they're in the middle, they're able to get to both disciplines quickly and have those interactions that you're referring to.
Right.
And then the other side, our far side of the room is law dispatch, police dispatch.
How many people can you involve at once? I mean, I saw a videotape of a big response. There were police involved, fire departments involved, there were ambulance people and rescue people all involved at one moment. So you can tie that knot together and you can make all that happen at one time just from the call center.
Right, and it's a single information system. The computer-aided dispatch system, everybody on the floor has access to the information on the call. All the responders have access to information.
So everybody
on the call.
sees it at the same moment?
Yes, they can.
Oh, that's how it's happening so fast. So a call comes in and you answer it, and so you're typing while you're talking, and then the system sends it to
the appropriate dispatcher.
Oh, but everybody can see it, not just
Correct.
Not just you can. Everybody in the room's looking at the same information at once.
Should they elect to or have additional information to add to that call?
Well, no wonder things happen with such incredible speed. Well, that's just flat out remarkable. Yep. So I'm wondering, Vicki, when you get a call, because you're the front line pretty much here, what's the first thing that goes through your mind? I mean, I know you've had some serious calls.
Sure.
And I know you've had some nuisance calls, so
Sure.
I mean, you don't just answer it with no anticipation at all. It's my guess you're ready for about anything.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's one of the rewards actually for being in this line of work, is you never know what you're going to get. What their training really encompasses, though, is to be prepared and to take everything seriously until you have reason to believe otherwise. So we're always going to take every call that we take very seriously, ask all the questions, even if sometimes they could be annoying to the person that's calling. It's for good reason, so that we're making sure that we're sending the correct help.
Right. How do you train people to know, well, I guess, at what point in the call do you decide if it's serious or not? Do you know instantly, or,
Depends.
It just depends
It
on
depends.
the caller, I guess.
Absolutely.
Huh? Right.
I mean, these are trained professionals getting this information. It becomes an interview process. They have to verify address, they have to verify the phone numbers, so we know where to find them. That's critical. And then just talking to them, talking through a crisis, talking them down. Oftentimes these people are extremely agitated.
Right, yes. I heard that the day that I was in there.
Yes.
Or they're frantic about something, so it's no
Absolutely.
small thing for an operator.
Sure.
Yep.
So they've got to just keep drawing that information out. But as they're doing it, they have to discern, is it time to push this to where we start rolling units, or do I need more information?
So you're making decisions on the fly, and you're
Absolutely.
I can't imagine the pressure of that. It's no small thing. So I know you're always looking for good recruits. Who do you look for in a person? I mean, these are really two good people here.
Absolutely.
But you know, and I say that in all seriousness. I mean, you're very professional. I watched you work. But when you're looking for somebody, you know, what qualities do you look for in a person?
You know, certainly 18 or older. We're after people with strong communication skills who can show the empathy that Vicki talks about. They understand levels of conflict resolution, but they can multitask. This job has complexities beyond anything. My experience comes out of law enforcement arena, but the work that they do and the complexities of just the multitask facet is very, very difficult. There's an awful lot to learn. So somebody who's willing to take a lot of learning and just really pull the whole package together.
Yeah.
It's very complex. From the date of hire, just to be able to take calls, just to be able to take a call is roughly 10 weeks.
Oh, really? Oh, so
Yes.
it's an extensive.
It's an extensive.
training.
And then if
Right.
we're going to give you the ability to dispatch on one of the channels, it's potentially as much as 8 more weeks.
Is that because the technology is so intensely complicated, or is it just because as you're trying to learn what kind of personality traits they have in, or maybe both?
I think it's a little bit of both. Certainly the technology, but every agency has its own complexities. When
I
you're
see.
dealing the difference between Lakewood versus Jefferson County
see.
versus Wheat Ridge, Arvada, whichever.
Right.
And even some of the fire authorities, they have different response plans. Certain equipment goes, certain needs from their officers. So you have to learn those nuances based on the agency you could potentially be dispatching for.
Right.
So it just keeps adding. Here's 8 more weeks, and if we're going to put you on another channel, that could be 6 more weeks.
Right.
It just depends, but it's very complex.
You talk a lot about the technology, so
Right.
we have to be prepared for what if we lose a piece of our technology.
Oh, gee.
We
I'm
need
sure that
somebody
happens.
that's working that position that would be able to pick it up and know what equipment is sent and know how to work it without
see.
a piece of that
Like
technology.
back in the good old dark days, when nobody could see anything.
Now, obviously, we want 99.999% uptime. We'd like 100. Realistically, we want to minimize the downtime on
Sure.
our systems to minimize the impact of the dispatchers and to the community. But
Anybody with a computer or smartphone knows how frustrating that can get. I mean, you lose your internet in a heartbeat. So I should tell you, Kevin, as you probably know, 4 of the top companies in Denver are all looking for, Jeff's still looking for tech people, I'm sure, but 4 of the top companies in Denver are looking for 3,000 tech people. So you're in a very good spot right now. Sorry, Jeff. Maybe he did know that number, but I'm telling Kevin you're hugely in demand right now. So I'm wondering, do you feel the pressure? If something goes wrong. So I mean, I watched you. In the morning we were there, everything worked. But I know there's moments that don't. So when things don't, you know, what do you do first? I mean, do you call Google? I mean, what do you do? I mean, you're kind of the end of the line. You know, there's nobody for you to call. It's you, right?
really, it's just gathering the circumstances, what happened, and tracing it backwards. As far as most of it's circumstantial. And we're able to pinpoint it pretty quickly and get it resolved. And we have not experienced anything that's been a critical event.
It's like being in an air traffic control tower up there with, you know, a bunch of people handling really critical information, and a lot of them handling it all at once. But I can see where the technology would streamline that, and you know, make it a lot easier to handle. So the center's prepared. These are wonderful numbers that you gave me. The center prepared to serve 600,000 residents and field approximately 18,000 emergency calls and 50,000 non-emergency calls every month. And you've had days in there where actually those numbers pale by comparison.
That's true. But we've been 100% operational since April 4th. By the time we did our cutovers and got those 8 member agencies in-house, those numbers are holding very accurate.
Are they really?
We anticipated all along we'd be probably in that 70,000 to 80,000 in calls or monthly, and that's holding true.
Wow, that's just remarkable.
Yeah.
And non-emergency call, Vicki, are things like what? What would be a non-emergency call? My dog is stuck, or I know you get those.
It could be like an animal management type call. It could be questions on a case. It could be that they're trying to talk to a police officer that maybe responded on their call. It could be just informational kind of things. We get calls from alarm companies for like fire alarms, burglar alarms, those kinds of things that come in on the non-emergency line. But it's holding true that it's about 2 and 2.5 times the amount of the 911 calls that we get.
Really? Well, people look to it as a tremendous means of support, and with, you know, for most any emergency or any question. So I was listening to a call that started as, well, there's a dog in my yard, and I thought, oh, well, this will be interesting to see how this works. And then the dog attacked someone mowing the grass in the yard, and then the person was bleeding. I mean, it just went from one level to another, and before it was over, you know, the posse was on the way.
Right.
Sometimes they'll start out slowly like that.
Sure.
You
Yep.
never know where it's going to go, I guess. You just never know what's coming next.
Absolutely.
I was so fascinated by it. Jeffcom's $15 million annual budget comes from all participating agencies. The Sheriff's Office is fronting $2.4 million per year here in Jeffco, for example, but expects to save, in the end run, more than $600,000 annually. So taxpayers need to know that while there's a lot of money spent on this to get it up and running, in the long run, there are significant savings to be realized.
Correct.
Certainly, that's the whole concept of the regionalization. We were duplicating efforts around this county, and a lot of money went to 8 agencies to function. Now we're bringing those 8 agencies under one roof. We do have cost savings, equipment cost savings, personnel cost savings that will be felt back to each one of those municipalities.
The cops and the firemen respond to everything. You see them all day long. They'll go down I-25 for somebody, you know, who has stalled on the shoulder, and they'll block 3 lanes to help them. I mean, what are you going to do? You have to do it. What's the hardest emergency to get rolling? Is it rescue? Is it active shooter? You know, is it getting, if it's a situation that would involve multiple tiers of emergency responses, what's the hardest one to get rolling that you've encountered?
So I would say anytime you have a caller that really has no idea where they are, we're using technology, but you know, as we were talking about, we're still using an old school 911 network, so the location is not great. It's getting better, and we're using some technology to help that. But you know, you may have a lost hiker in the foothills.
Oh, I see.
Something like that,
Oh,
and you're really trying to
I'm
pinpoint
lost
their
at-
location to figure out how to get people to them as quickly as possible.
Oh, sure, that would be, and we've seen that happen before a lot in the backcountry.
Yeah.
So where are we going with that, Kevin? Is that technology getting better? I mean, you know, on television, on CSI, they just grab a burner phone or something, or whatever that is, and then they know immediately, you know, so, hey, well, here they are right here. They're at fifth, but it doesn't really happen that way, does
Right,
it?
or they have some hacker sitting there with a computer
Or some
that's
hacker
able to
who's
miraculously
pulling it up on a
find it.
giant screen in there, yeah, everybody.
Right.
Emergency person, I'll always laugh at that. I once had I always ask a police officer, somebody had robbed a bank, I said, why don't you just wing him or something? Just because on TV all the time, they just hit the guy, you know, on the ankle or on the knee, and the cop said, here, I'm going to stand 10 feet away from you and point a gun at you. You try to hit me. So the point being made that when it's actually in practice, you know, that's not actually happening. But is the technology getting better? You seem to think that maybe it is.
It is. So we currently have something in place, and something I would strongly encourage the entire citizen base of Jefferson County to sign up for. It's called Smart 911. It essentially lets you go to a website, put in your name, your home address, what allergies you have, even what your dog's name is. You fill out a profile on yourself, and then when you dial 911 from that phone, we get that information.
So it's a program on my smartphone.
on
No.
any phone. You
On
can actually
any
put
phone?
landline phones.
Oh.
It will look to this database to find your phone, pair it with your information. We're
I see.
providing that information.
I see.
They are enhancing that by providing, with announcements such as what Apple made last week, support for phones to provide their GPS data.
And I did
that's-
see you with your big computer that you could, right there, you had what did you have, like 9 computers in front of you, I saw?
Feels like
that
it.
you could go there just like CSI and pull it up. Oh, there's Mark, the idiot. He's lost near Raccoon Creek. What a moron. Yeah. What are the reviews you're getting from the agencies that are involved so far?
Certainly positive reviews. I mean, we're going through a lot of growth and development, and for them, it's something new. They're starting to hear different voices on the radio. They got so accustomed to hearing their own dispatchers from their respective agencies.
see.
So now they hear a different voice. Well, with that, maybe a little bit of change in process or procedures. So there's some growing pains, certainly, but I think overall it's been very positive, both on the police and fire aspects of it. We continue to make changes. They continue to grow and develop with us, and so this whole year will be pretty much consistent of that.
Right. I can't imagine it gets any better than it already is. And I know that's the aim and that's the goal. But it's so good right now. I mean, outside of actually becoming CSI on TV, how does it get better? What's next? Drones everywhere? I mean, what's next for you? The technology is pretty remarkable.
I wish I could answer that, because I'd be pretty wealthy if I knew what's next. I think it is the growth in technology, it is the growth in our staff, and the ability to continue to work closer and closer together with our partnering agencies.
Kevin, what do you see coming down the line? And now it's all on you. Now, if this is going to get better, faster, cheaper, even than it is now, then it's all on you, I guess.
Well, like I said, we're looking at next generation 911. There's a lot of stuff that comes with that, location being one of the biggest things, but that's not just something that's next for us, that's next for the industry.
For everybody, yeah. So as all the technology adapts, then of course you adapt as well, right? So are you short people right now? I mean, what kind? This is an opportunity. If you're looking for folks, who are we looking for specifically?
Oh my goodness, yes, here's my plug, my PSA. Yes, we are hiring. We can be located at www.jeffcom911.org. We take applications online. That will stay open. There's a need. We've got to continue to get up to this 136 number. We're short of that, but as training goes on, and the length of it, the time it takes to even train somebody.
Yeah.
So yes, we are accepting applications. We are extremely competitive in the pay force. One of our goals that we've established for ourselves is we are going to be the tier 1 organization when it comes to emergency communication.
And you almost have to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're after good people committed to this as a profession.
Yeah, and we should say it's 24/7. There are no days off at 911, and I know from my work as a reporter, typically it's those pre-holiday or holiday periods that are always the busiest.
Yes.
Yep.
Something invariably happens that we're hoping would not happen, but then of course it falls out of the sky on your head.
We're coming up on a big one of those right now.
Yes, yeah.
Literally,
Are the
stuff
summer
falling
ones
out of the
worse for?
sky.
I would guess the summer ones are worse for you, right? Yeah.
Typically,
The summer holidays.
Kids are out of school. Everybody's
that's
out
right.
and about doing things. So
Yeah. Some of
July
those.
4th with all the fireworks.
Oh, July 4th, that's
Yes.
right, and lost pets, what have you. And there was a call from a youngster when I was in there. It was just heartrending, couldn't find somebody, mommy or his brother or something. And then, of course, you heard a parrot come screaming into the background. So, who are you talking to? But he learned in school to call 911.
Yes.
Well, thanks to all of you for the work that you do, and it's a remarkable thing. I'm a big fan. I was so impressed by it. My photographer couldn't stop shooting. He just shot and shot. Everywhere he pointed a camera, there was another picture. And so my piece on your operation was a little long today, but worthy, I thought. I thought, very interesting place. Thanks for all the work that you do. I'm sad that you're not in Lone Tree anymore. There's no one to fix my tickets. That never happened. Jeff, thank you. Vicki, thanks to you. Kevin, good luck to you over there. It sounds like the monkey's on your back over there to get it all rolling, keep it working. So thanks to all of you. Thanks for your time today and being part of our program. And thanks to all of you for joining us. And let's talk again soon.